All righty, folks, you know that I am on the cusp of creating a series called Buying Vegas. This young man actually helped Olivia and I buy our home in Vegas here recently, so he is going to be a part of this. We're about to talk about the crash in Vegas. He is the man with the housing stats, and I think we've got to talk about a crash up. What's going on, Mr. Brian Lebo? How you doing?
I'm well, man. I'm well. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. And yeah, it was definitely an interesting month, a very interesting month. I mean, look, we did this about a month prior and we discussed a lot of what ended up in my video, right? That
Yeah,
sometimes the numbers are not indicative of where the market's moving. It's more of an indication of where we came from. So
right.
yeah, it was an interesting month. A lot of validation going on there.
Yeah, so people don't remember. Last month we did a talk about January, and January just kind of raw looking back numbers were down 10 grand. The median price had fell 10 grand, as I recall. And Brian was pretty clear that that was a moment in time, and the actual on the ground work and the data was pointing to a very different story in February. He called his shot, and what happened?
Yeah, so when we met last, we were actually down. It was a little over seven thousand
Oh,
dollars.
seven
Which,
grand. Okay.
you know, if you're here in the local market, January was just kind of going like gangbusters, and it was really difficult to imagine that the market was going down when everything that here locally at the ground level, I mean, it was fairly obvious. Every offer you wrote had multiple offers,
Yeah.
and it didn't have any feeling or indication that we were trending down. If anything, we were trending up, which is what I had been telling people. But yeah, we got the data, and this time last month, our median price had gone down $7,000, and like I said in the video, it's really difficult to tell people to head north when the map's pointing south.
Right.
But the truth is I cover all these analytics and we discuss, and there are times where I will say this is the
Oh,
data,
yeah.
but F the data, this is not indicative of where we're going, especially when markets are turning quickly. That data is representing what happened 30, 45 days ago. So
Exactly.
you're
That's
relying.
the key is the reports we rely on, right or wrong, are closings. And
Right.
closings, as you know, but hopefully the audience knows, take 30 or 45 days. So the closings that happened in January were contracts from December, maybe late November.
Right.
And January activity is just different. And that would become February closings.
Yeah.
It was obvious, but those inflection points are missed by the crash bros.
Exactly. And you know, one of the things that I put in the video, if you guys, for those of you that don't watch the video, yeah, watch the videos. You'll be a month ahead of everyone else. But
Absolutely.
one of the things that has been really interesting being in the social media space, and I'm sure you can attest to this, is we've become a society where negativity sells 10 times better. People people love to build people up, but people love to tear them down so much more. And so for some reason it's difficult for people. If you're positive, then you're being naive, whereas if you're cynical, that's a sign of intelligence. And to some degree,
You're
you
so
know
right.
right, I mean, to some degree you should be cynical, especially in this world of
Mhm.
disinformation. It's important to be objective and really think through what you're hearing. But the fact of the matter is, like you said, the crash bros, I mean, I can go back to any moment in time, and if you listen to these fools 10 years ago, you'd have nothing. It's just some people are just consistently negative. You watch Reventure Consulting, it's always a crash. And the bigger the crash, the bigger the views are. People just love to hear that the world is coming to an end. That's what we, for some reason, inherently enjoy at this point in time.
You
So,
know what's really funny? Not only that channel, but he's got his brothers. He's got a failed mortgage broker. He's got a failed real estate agent that have now decided to produce doom porn as a way to make a living. These people couldn't hack it as agents. They couldn't hack it as mortgage brokers, but damn it, they could be renters and produce, real estate doom porn. It's comical that people listen to this, but you're right. Here's the deal. I watch your stuff. It should be obvious to people. I watch your stuff. And a couple of months ago, you were talking about, you know what, it's getting slow out here, like in the winter. If you're going to write a deal, now's the time.
Right.
And you were getting comments like, thankfully, finally a good agent, finally an honest agent, finally this, finally that. Then you come out in February, report January is south, but you're pointing north. And boy, you were just crucified. You don't know what you're doing. You're a moron. You're an idiot. You're just a realtor. I'm like, you can't keep these fools just want to live in this negative black space. It's like,
Yeah.
turn on a light, you idiot. It's crazy.
You know, from my side of the table, from your side of the table, for people that create content, I mean, to you got to develop some thick skin. I mean, I read all the comments, and honestly, I love some of the negative comments because I think it's just hilarious because it doesn't bother me personally, but you have to take it with a grain of salt, and ultimately, I mean, I think I can count on one hand the amount of times that I've truly like left comments on other people's pages, and it's usually either like, "Hey, man, you killed it."
Yeah.
Great job, or like, hey, what did you use to film this, like a
Yeah, exactly.
technical
That was
question,
really
like,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
like where can I get
Be
that?
some of that. Yeah, I want to do that.
But for me personally, to take the time to just write some scathing bullshit and to denigrate someone is just, it's a drain on me and it's a waste of my time. So you kind of have to take things with a grain of salt and be like, the guy who's sitting there writing a 3 paragraph demoralization about some random guy's YouTube video, like he probably
That's
doesn't have too
hilarious.
much. You probably don't have too much going on out there. So, but yeah, that's the point is if I tell everyone, hey, this is not the time to buy, I think it's time to just sit on the sidelines. Let's wait this out. I'm the first honest realtor anyone has ever encountered. But if I tell you, hey guys,
It's
now
about to
wave
get
the flag,
nuts.
go,
Yeah.
go, 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 then be careful. The guy's a realtor. He's
Yeah.
probably just another greedy realtor. So,
Yeah. It's
you know,
crazy.
hey,
Anyways.
it is what it is. But
But again, going back to why I watch you is you not only have an opinion in interpreting the data, which I appreciate, but then you show the data, right? You have these price thresholds, you have these absorption rates, and you report them all the time. So we have history.
right.
What people don't get is it's a fact. You can't argue a fact,
Right.
right? So it's wild to see that people don't get that. So I
And it's
appreciate that you do that every month.
yeah, and what you appreciate, and for those of you that don't watch, what is worth, I think, appreciating is the fact that I'm going to show you the empirical data. And there are times where I'm going to say this constitutes a trend because we've seen this happen for 3, 4 months.
Mhm.
And there's times where I'm going to say, hey, look, this looks a particular way, but before we get a little too excited, let's see if this happens for the next 2 months.
Yeah.
Then I feel more comfortable. You have to give contextual relevance to data. And sometimes the data is dead on, and this is what's going on. And then there's what happened last month where I'm like, guys, I'm a data guy, and this is bullshit.
This is all wrong.
Let everyone else do what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is what's really happening. I got to show you the data, but the data doesn't support. Hey, say hi,
Mm.
Deuce. Hey, guys.
Hey, Deuce.
If you see me
Hi.
saying Deuces in my videos, it's because of this
That's
little
him.
guy. Hey,
Hi.
Deuce. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, Deuce.
Anyways, back to the show.
Yeah. So again, I appreciate that. So let's get into the numbers.
Yeah.
What was the crash like in February?
All right. So in January, we had crashed. Like I said, we actually went down $7,613. So that's never good, right?
Mhm.
And then I said last month, guys, it's moving out there. It is moving. So we went from losing $7,600 to just last month, just in 1 month, the market went up $15,000 in 1 month. That
Wow.
in by any measure, that
That's
is
that's why that's
insane.
almost 3%. That's
Yeah,
almost
it was
3%.
3.4%.
Whew.
Yeah, 3.4% in that's just 1 month. That's in
1 month.
one.
Annualize that. That's like 40%.
Yeah, I mean that's
That's
just
nuts.
absurd. Yeah, so you could tell, guys, like that's an unsustainable amount of appreciation for 1 month span.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But that's what I was trying to explain to people was that yes, November, December are the worst months of the year, and this particularly was very slow.
Mhm.
But it's not slow now. So you're going to see changes, and these changes are going to continue. It's what I was saying 5 months into last year is that
Yeah.
this spring and summer could be huge, and it's showing that so far. So
Yeah.
even right now, this puts us up 9.6% from this same time that we were last year. So, I
Wait,
mean,
wait, wait, wait. The Crash Bros told me Vegas was crashing. How can Vegas be up 9.6% year on year? Come on.
some things are just data, and you can
It's
see the
just a
median. I'm looking right now. The median price was 415,000 in February of last year, and now we're at 455.
it's
It's
just
math.
math.
You can choose to ignore. You can call it alternative facts. Do whatever the hell you want to do, but they are facts, guys. So
Well, here's my question for you, and I didn't get this in your video last time, so I'm glad we're doing this. Is what are you seeing on the on the ground right now? Did rates going to 7% temper demand? Did the multiple offers slow down? I know we've just gone below 7% again. Did that pick up? What's on the ground happening right now?
yeah, I would say the last couple of weeks have kind of calmed a little bit, but
Okay.
you also have to realize that we're also dealing with spring break. So a lot of
Aha.
yeah, so and that's what I try to explain to people is, I had someone reach out to me the other day and says, "Man, I watched your video. It looks like it's hopeless. There's just no way." And I'm like, "No, it's never ever hopeless. It's just a question of how much effort." And again,
Yeah.
this is an investor channel, guys. And for those of you out there, you guys are on a different wavelength than most people. If you're watching this channel, it's because you're trying to better yourself. You
Hmm.
want to figure out how to get ahead from a monetary standpoint, right? And there's one truth that is universal in this space, and that's the work that you put in is going to be a direct result of what kind of proceeds you're going to get on the back end of it. You're
Hmm.
not going to find the greatest investment property of all time without grinding. You can get an investment
Exactly.
property. Any fool can buy an investment property. It doesn't mean you got a good investment strategy or a good investment vehicle to
Amen.
find, right? To find the right cap right, to find the right vehicle for your particular strategy is going to require you to do copious amounts of research, right? Like you have your buyer's box.
Focus, daily discipline,
Right.
buy box,
Exactly.
networking.
Daily business.
Yes.
And Zuber and I both, although we may look at different things, there's not a day of our life that we're not looking in very specific areas for specific factors. And we do
Hmm.
this repetitively every single day to the point that certain things become inherent. And when you have a knowledge of your buyer box, if you will, certain things stick out like a sore thumb. And you're like, okay,
Yeah.
this is an
Yeah.
anomaly. I haven't
Let's
seen
go
anything
poke at
like
that.
this.
Yep.
Let's poke at it,
Exactly.
right? So
Yeah.
the more work you put into it and the more you educate yourself, the more ready you're going to be to take advantage of an opportunity and the more likely you are to spot an opportunity. So
Yeah.
right now, like this is a moderate couple of weeks because all these families are worried about spring break. And so we
Yeah.
have a month where different parts of the country are going to be operating
Yeah.
on different wavelengths.
You're right.
And so I have noticed the past couple of weeks have been a little odd, a little bit quieter, and this is the point in time where some things slip through the cracks. And even in hot markets, there's just some weeks that are
Yeah.
inexplicable. And I've told
Hmm.
people, I've had properties that I couldn't give away for 3 months, and I'm like, I thought this was a good property. I don't know what's going on. And then all of a sudden, in one weekend, we'll get three offers on that property out of the blue. 3 months, nothing. One weekend, three offers. It's happened to me multiple times in my career. And it's just
Yeah.
sometimes it's literally just a timing issue. So don't be discouraged. Just realize that it's just going to take a little bit more work, but it's
Yeah.
worth it, right?
Yeah, the last thing I want to close on, I'm big on this with all the agents that I work with across the country, and we talk to, is what's happening below and above the median, right? The median price in Vegas is like what, 485 or something, 455.
The median right now is 455.
All right, so 455. So I'm curious, where like is luxury, which I'll call in Vegas a million and above, is that slowing down? Is its days on market higher at $1 million, or is just everything was blistering hot the last
Yeah,
30 days?
everything was blistering hot. And again, if we're talking about the luxury market, that was the only segment that I would say stagnated, if you will. So I have a metric that I call housing absorption by price
Mhm.
range,
I
and
love
I
that one.
break. Yeah, and so what I do, for you as the consumer on the other end of this camera, your experience buying a home for 400,000 in Las Vegas is going to be wildly different, perhaps, than a
Very
person
different.
buying
Yes.
$1 million home in Vegas. So it's important to kind of illustrate what those markets are performing like. And
Mhm.
so I distilled it down to a percentage number to show the higher the percentage, the more competitive that price segment is performing. So
I
it's
love
a
it.
very easy way to look at it and be like, wow, this segment has just caught fire. So like right now, the bulk of our entire market are homes priced between 200 to or 250 to 500. There's
Mhm.
nothing for 250, but in theory, 250 to 500 represents the vast majority of our market. And right now, like in the last month, we went from 46% to 50%. So that's a
Wow.
pretty big increase
In a month? Yeah.
in 1 month. But the more important factor is the fact that if you're looking for a home, say $450,000 of that median home, 50% is saturation in that price range. So what that means is when you go on Zillow, half of the homes that you're looking at are already under contract.
Gone.
So it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to compete in that space than if you're looking at 1 million to 1.5. That segment is at 31%. Now it came down from 32% to 31%. Is that anything to really worry
It's
about?
yeah, no, and it's not a concern. It's just it's always fun to me because again, I think we have a bifurcated housing market and a bifurcated consumer, right? Things below the median, generally speaking, not enough inventory and plenty of demand. And if rates fall, watch out. The marginal demand is going to come flying off the shelf. The $1 million stuff, it's just like steady state, I think.
Yeah. And so, I mean, when you look at the whole market as a whole from a blown back macro perspective, we're sitting at 42%. Now, that means nothing, but I'll put it this way. In January, that was 32%.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you start looking at it from that perspective, it's become substantially more competitive in just a matter of 2 months. So
Yeah.
when you look at that and then you look at the homes that are under contract, the more homes that are under contract will obviously tell you that there's more homes that are going to be closing in the next month.
Correct.
So it's actually a wonderful sneak preview. When I see that there's a ton of homes under contract, that illustrates that next month there's going to be a lot more closings than we had the previous month, and vice
Right.
versa. If you see that homes under contract are diminishing, you know that there's going to be a slump in sales on the horizon. So
Exactly. I love that as absorptions. Pending to active inventory is a genius metric. You tracked it for months, now years. You trend it. It offers early warnings of up and downs that are coming, and you've been right so often. Where can people find these videos that you produce once a month on this topic?
yeah, so the best way to get educated and check out what I do as far as content, because I do these videos, so I do monthly update videos where I break down the analytics, I discuss any relevant news topics that occurred during that month. So all of that you'll find on YouTube, the Lebo Group. You can type Lebo Knows, Lebo Knows. And then I also do very high end property tours. So if
Yeah,
you
those are
are in the
fun.
luxury, yeah, so I mean, if you're seriously in the luxury space, this is a really cool way to see what the architecture is like and to kind of get an idea as far as what the modern architecture out here is, what the prices are. I try to go into actual building techniques and the
Yep, you do.
construction of it. So if you're new to that space, it's a really good way to learn, and it's just a kind of a cathartic way to be able to see what's going on in a higher end space.
I
So
just love to dream. I love to dream what a 3 and 5 and $10 million house might look like. That's why I go. It's just to figure out what's what. And you do go over the architecture. You talk about the building. You are very, very knowledgeable at what you do. You're a great agent and a great friend.
thank you, guys.
Again, the Lebo Group, go check it out. You're amazing. Thanks, buddy.
See you guys next month.